In this video, we're going to create the character's leg. I'm going to start in the side view, and if we take a look at the geometry for the leg, it's kind of a modified cylinder. So I'm going to choose a regular cylinder shape to do so. I'll go to my top view, create polygon primitives, cylinder. I'll start to drag the circumference of the top cylinder at the top of the leg chain. Now I'll go to my perspective window and I'll give it some height. Now before I start to put it at an angle, I'm going to create one piece and then generate the others from that. In the side view, I'll start by making it a little longer. If you look closer, you'll see in the template there's kind of a cuff here. So I'm going to click on the Insert Edge Loop tool and I'm going to cut it. Now I'm going to hit W, go back to my object mode, and then I'll right click and choose face. I'm going to select the faces that were defined by that edge loop. I'm going to click on my Extrude Polygon tool. Now if you don't know what it looks like, it appears as this orange cube on top of a white plane. To find that, I would go up to Edit Mesh, and there's Extrude there. Now I'm not sure what it was set for last time, so I'll click on the attributes and I'll go to Edit Reset Settings. Now I'll click on the Extrude tool that I've put on my dock previously. And I'll go to my perspective window, hit F on the keyboard, and I'm going to center the tool in the middle of the geometry by clicking on that little light blue button with the line through it. Now I can select any of the scale cubes, and then from the blue one in the center of the vertex configuration, I'll click and drag to the right. It went up and down just a little bit, so I'll fix that by going to the side view, hitting F, and then I'll just scale it down so it's even with the bottom of the shape and where that line was introduced. So we're looking at something like this. I'll right click and go back to my object mode. Now I need to generate the other sections. I'll go into my side view, and in my side view I'll hit W, E, I'll rotate that first piece the way it should be, and if I need to I'll scale it. I'll hit Command D, I'll move the duplicate down, I'll start to scale it, and I'll rotate that and put it into position. Command D one more time, rotate that into position, and this one's tapered, so I'll scale it collectively to get the thinness I want. Then I'll place the cuff over the cuff from the template, and if I right click and I choose vertex and drag here, I can now move that up to where it should be. If I go to my perspective view, I have something like this started. Now all we need to do is put spheres in between here as joints. I'll turn off the template and I'll go to my side view again, and I'll start by selecting the elements for the legs, moving it down to make way for the first sphere. Holding down the space bar, create polygon primitive sphere, click and drag. I'll hit Command D to duplicate, scale that one down so that it's smaller than the circumference of the cuff. Command D one more time, and I'll put that piece there, scaling it down so that eventually I can put it inside the cylinder above. And the very last one is for the foot. I'll hit Command D, and I'll put that one there, scaling it as well. Now I can see that these have to be moved, so I'll shift select all of them because they've been introduced in the same viewport, and I'll go to the front view, and now I'll move them into position with the leg. I'll go to my perspective view to make sure it's what I want. And that looks pretty decent, so I'll save it. With the leg completed, now we need to put the foot on. I'm going to go to my front view, and I'm going to zoom in at the bottom of the leg. I want to introduce a polygon sphere. I'll hold down my space bar, we'll go to Create polygon primitives, and sphere, and I'll click and drag a sphere down towards the bottom of the ankle. I'm going to go to my side view now, and I'll start to put it roughly into the position I want. If we look at the sample again, it's kind of a elliptical shape. I'll start to scale that just a little bit so it's closer to what we want. I have the shape I want, but I have to cut the heel out. And we're going to use a simple Boolean difference function for that. Holding down the space bar, going to create polygon primitives, cube, dragging a footprint. My perspective view, I'll give it some thickness. Making sure that it's big enough to penetrate through the sphere. I'll select the sphere because that's what I want to retain. Shift select the cube, hold down the space bar, mesh, booleans, difference. Center pivot, delete by type history, and in my side view I'll start to put it into position that I want. And now we've completed the leg. And in the side view I'm going to group it, and then holding down D, I'll put the pivot at the ball joint at the top of the leg. Returning to the front view, I'll move the pivot there as well. I'll hit W and I'll move it in underneath the body a little more. Something like this.